you tell me a bit about yourself?
Be glad to. I'm an executive coach to C teams and CEOs and their C teams, mostly in financial services, but I've done municipalities, education, and other industries and working in it. My passion is that I was about 60 when I went through my transformation with a coach, coaching into somatic coaching. And I said, duh, why doesn't everybody have this? Why should I wait till 60? I don't want other people to wait till 60. So that propelled me, and I had an opportunity to get into coaching. And then I left coaching of that company in 2008, formed my own company, Executive Leadership Institute. And except for some of the bubble back in 2008, was not a good time to go in business. But after that, got some traction, and have been since 2012, I've never solicited new business. So I'm very fortunate and blessed in being able to come alongside, and CEOs call me in to prepare EVPs for succession planning, and also for their operational minded executives to become more strategic and global thinking, and get rid of some of the bad habits they've had that they developed when they were operationally minded.
Interesting. For our viewers, could you explain what an EVP is?
It's an executive vice president.
Right.
So it's at the level right below the CEO. It's the chief officers. Okay.
Yep.
So C teams is called C-suite. Those are other things, chief positions. So most of my work is in the chief, or those who want to be chief executive officers.
Yeah. Interesting. What got you into coaching? What made you make that leap?
I was out of a job and desperate for work. And I was applied for a company that wanted me to be an executive recruiter. But they said that to be a recruiter, our business model, you have to be a certified executive coach. We'll pay for it, but that's what we need you to do. And I said, where's the dotted line? I'm ready to sign. So that started my venture into somatic coaching, which is the integration of body, mind, and spirit. It was the first wave of neuroscience that came into the coaching back in the early 2000s. And from there, it changed my life and transformed my life, and made me hungry to help other people to find that transformation for their lives. And it's really, I often repeat, my work is to help senior executives learn how to live again, because they've been so engrossed in the work, the families, everybody just disappear, and they don't know how to get a life again. So really, it's a holistic approach to, hey, how do we be authentic and real, and why do you limit and trap yourself in the style that you're doing?
Yeah. So this is all about work-life balance, is it?
Work-life balance, but it's also about, I'm a NeuroChange coach. So it's really, I get down to, I'm called in to say this leader is behaving this way, or they have these things. Those are all symptoms. So I use the neuro aspect of it to find out where's their focus of attention, how have they structured their subconscious, which they're not aware of, and how is that limiting the offer they want to give to others. So that's really my approach I take.
How would you sort of describe the benefit to your clients? How much feedback do you get, and how would they actually describe the benefit of your coaching?
Well, I can answer that in a couple of ways. Very rewarding. Number one, if they introduce me to their partner or spouse, I know that we've had a good relationship and they're making change. Yeah. Right. Number one. Number two, if they get within a reasonable time within 6 months to a year after we've been coaching or in the coaching experience, if they suddenly begin to get more responsibilities, or they move up to higher levels, or they move into the CEO position. Several of my clients are now CEOs, in other words. And the reason I haven't solicited any new business since 2012, all of those who I coach either bring me in to those that are under them, or when they leave, they bring me with them to their new corporation. So that's how I know it's effective there. But it's really not about me. It's about where they are and how they find themselves, and step into it with peace and less stress, and suddenly have more of a compelling presence about them. And too many have been brought up, particularly at the executive level, have been brought up on what I call the command and control attitude, mindset, and it's devastating them. They can't do it today because the environment we work in doesn't accept command and control. They have to learn to co-create and be a strategist and be a synergistic and catalyst type approach. And so that's a different mindset, totally different mindset. But to do that, you have to reprogram how you're showing up and how you see the world. So there's a long answer to a short question, I'm sure, but.
No, that's very interesting, a great insight. Could you, do you think you could sort of summarize or sort of explain how you would describe your journey to this moment in time, the problems that you may have, in terms of running your own business and
Yes.
all the other associated things that you need to do as a person that's running a business, and of course doing all the coaching that you do?
Thank you for that. So, just to kind of set a real quick tone, childhood was very destructive for me, and so I had to grow. As I became an adult, I kept trying to find, who am I? And I tried this job or that position. I was always very successful in the exteriorly. And so, but I began to do a number of things from Wells Fargo Bank, where I moved up their ladder there. Then I went out and bought my own independent insurance agency, and I ran that. And I was an advisor to 2,000 customers, most of them large millionaires and customers like that. Then I went into the ministry 7 years, and I was on numerous boards. And the interesting thing, for the first part of my life, it's flipped, but I was always the youngest person on every board I was on, board of directors. And I thought that was pretty good. Now I'm the oldest, but it switched the other way. But the point is, I had a lot of territory in trying to find myself. It gave me exposure to a lot of ways of doing business, how to work with people. For example, at Wells Fargo, I helped co-found the first leadership assessment center of any company in America. I believe we're certainly among the first. So that kind of set the tone for the later. So now I use all those skill sets. And again, as an independent, you never have enough to be a good businessman today, because you can't be all things to all people. So I've had to find, first of all, my wife is a great balance to me. She says that I'm the balloon and she's the string. So I can dream and fascinate all the time, but you got to be grounded. And so I've learned to surround myself and to bring in other coaches, or to go out to, such as we're doing with Delenta, who covers this, that other experts, that I don't have to recreate all the time or worry about it. So I need to go out and find those that are really good, but are compatible with my philosophy and the way I want to serve people, and it can help me do that. So to me, it's finding those people, and that's what I'm doing now in building an agency. I get a lot of coaches, but I want coaches that really make a difference in people's lives, and that's what drives them, and they know how to do it. So to me, it's not being solo, it's being responsible to be the best version of yourself, but realize you're not all things to all people, and what do you need, and constantly being open-minded, what's changing, what do I need to do, and that's what keeps driving me to find Delenta, because that was the answer for me today, and it's proven to be more than true as I've walked through it.
That's fascinating. And you may have already touched on certain things regarding my next question, which is, how would you advise other professionals that are looking to work in this space, or are actually working in this space today?
Well, I'll tell you, I was talking to a potential coach, which now she's going one of my coaches this week, and I was telling her about Delenta, and she said, "Oh, Jim, I've been through so many of those type, I can't count them all." And I go, "Yeah, been there, done that, all right." And so that's what's amazing about Delenta. You're not perfect, and nobody's going to be perfect, okay? But here's where you are perfect. You have a growth mindset. That means you're always constantly learning, what does the client need, and how can we expand to that? And I find that, but I also find that right from the start, you have more combined offer within Delenta now for coaches and counselors and people, consultants like us. Right from one, you can just step in and turn it over. And once you just give a sharp learning curve, it is such stupendous what your platform offers to us. So that's my recommendation. And the first thing is, jump ahead and go to Delenta first, and quit going through all the little games that you have to play with other groups.
It's fantastic that you say that. It's interesting. One of the things that a lot of our potential clients talk about is scalability. And I'm just sort of wondering how perhaps Delenta has enabled you to scale, and actually how that sits in a futuristic sense for your business model.
It is one of the key elements of why I chose Delenta. For 15 years, Well, but 10 years, 10, 12 years, it was just a solo act, just me. All right. And I was busy, made decent money. That's fine. But then the world began to change and I brought in another coach. But then as I realized, there's a whole lot here that I need to get out and the approach I'm taking is not working. So I need to find ways and learn how to scale what I have and what others have into a meaningful agency that can really serve a number of people. I have a lot of contacts. I can't do them all myself. So what do? So Delenta has worked with me to bring about scalability, okay? The fact I wanted to find, which I never found anywhere else, no matter how big they are, and I've been through all the major brands out there for coaching platforms. I never found anybody that could let me as the owner bring in other coaches that they can have their own database and relate to their own clients under my umbrella, but I could have access and continue to scale as I needed to and not recreate the wheel every time I brought in somebody. Mm-hmm. So, and the coaches I brought in have been amazed at what Delenta offers and what's able to provide to us.
Quite interesting what you said there. I mean, I personally have been running my own business for sort of 18 years now. And of course, the front office, mid office, back office functionality of any business is very difficult to manage as a single individual. How would you say that Delenta has helped you become more efficient and streamline your business?
Absolutely. So still growing. And when I make suggestions, it's not, oh, wait, no, it's, hey, that's a good idea. What are you talking about? What's the real need here? Let me share that with us so our teams can consider that as we move forward. And several of these changes, I won't use the word many, but several of these changes, particularly those that were high urgency to me, have already been taken care of in the first couple, 3 months. So that is significant when you feel that your platform is your partner and not that you're a pain in the rear end to try to make another step into where they need to stretch to.
Right. What do you say for yourself in the future, Jim?
I don't ever see retiring, and I've already told you I'm an old man, but I see gradually edging out. But I want to take the richness of the blessing that people have shared with me and multiply that out to as many people as I can before I retire, and hopefully create the agency that can go on and continue to touch lives. No exaggeration, I really believe it, into the millions. I really believe that, okay? That's the dream, so why not? Let's go for it.
Fascinating. We spoke earlier before we came on camera and we talked about the philosophy of giving back. And I think that's what Delenta is about, giving back and community. Do you see, how do you see that yourself as somebody that's mentoring in that capacity?
If you're not giving it away, you're fixed and you're in a rut. You have to give it away. When I first came into coaching, I got worried about somebody stealing my stuff. How do I save it? And then I woke up and said, wait a minute, give it away as fast as you can. You know, not be no stupid about it, but give it away as fast as you can, because that forces you to replace it and keep fresh. And so for me, it's constantly learning. My wife gets sick of it sometimes because I'm always, it's just in the last year that I went out and became a NeuroChange coach. When it went out and we had the pandemic, I go, no, I need to retool myself. So I totally retool into the quantum, into the neuroscience, into the NeuroChange. And so now at a very old age, and by the way, I was about your age when I started this, Bernie, by the way, as we talked off camera, but here 20 years later, hey, I'm just getting started. If you give it away and you see how it affects the lives of others, and it's not about you, it's about you tapping in because of what you can share with them. You can tap in and bring out in them things they didn't know were there, and they take off with it. That's fulfilling, not having all this knowledge inside me.
Fascinating. Yeah. I'm just thinking in my head about the philosophy at Delenta and the philosophy that you have in terms of community collaboration and growth and learning. I think it's key to remember, and hopefully you agree, maybe you can add some value to that in terms of for those people watching this that are thinking of becoming a coach, or those that are in coaching that are maybe struggling running their business.
Yes.
How would you, if you were starting again and you had Delenta at the beginning, would that have helped? I mean, how, trying to position how that would benefit others?
I think the first thing I would say is find a mentor who can help you, that can save you a lot of time and trouble, because what you do, you want to copy somebody else, but you want somebody who can help bring your authenticity to the surface. All right. And that usually we're kind of blind to ourselves, or we get in a rut. So somehow, and that's another way to go out and get the certifications you need. Now, everybody in their sister and brother, I guess, have some kind of thing they want to put in coaching. And so you need to discern what kind of coach are you going to be. You can't just be all things to all people. You got to find out what resonates in your spirit, what has been your track record of where you find your focus going, and what do they need in that focus area that you can bring out of your giftedness to get them started. That little criteria right there will give you a big leap forward that most coaches don't have when they start in. The second thing I would say is believe. Believe in yourself. No, you're going to make mistakes and you're going to try. Goodness gracious, if you want to recount my mistakes, we'll bring my wife in and let you know that one. But it's not the mistakes. In fact, that's what I like about the growth mindset. Mistakes are just places of learning. That's just how to do it better. And if you don't get embarrassed, and also have the courage that you want your leaders to have, whoever you're going to coach, you want them. The number one area, if I say, what would you like to do if you could change anything in leadership or today, what would it be? I'd say, help leaders create courage. I see in very few leaders that have courage. Okay. Why? Because they're afraid that they can't build relationships if they be authentic. Well, that's a huge miss. So learn in yourself, have that courage in you, step out, make mistakes, learn from it, and keep moving forward. So those are some things. And then you want to find the right, once you find the mentor and you find the coaching you want to do, then you want to find, what tools do I need? Now you can go to YouTube and you can find every slice of pizza coaching platform that you want to find. Okay. And they'll sound good, and boy, are they good. The other thing you'll waste a lot of time on are those coaches who coach coaches. I would venture to say 95% of them are not worth a dime. Okay. In my experience, and I've been around quite a bit, and I've paid several thousand to them. So before you jump into somebody's bandwagon, don't look how good they sound or what they tell you. Start looking at what are the results of what they do. For example, if you're not going to be a coach to coaches, then that knocks out 80% of the coaches online. Because all they know how to do is coach coaches how to become coaches, and they just keep filling up the coffer. There are really very few coaches in the marketplace that know how to go to the market and transform lives. So just find that niche and go for you. And then when you pull that together, you got to have a platform. You can do Excel sheets, you can do this, that, and the other, but suddenly you're going to find yourself just robbing your time, eating up, trying to keep alive and keep abreast of it, when you need to be a platform that takes care of a good part of that, and it's easier just to see where it is in any snapshot. I really believe in all those functions.
Yeah, you clearly have a philosophy and an outlook in terms of mentoring and the way that it adds value. How would you say that Delenta helps support you in actually offering that message or getting that message out?
A couple of ways. First of all, it releases me to get the message out. That's huge. I can spend time on putting together the offers and building the agency and those other things where I need to, it's more relationship built, but I don't have to do the platform there. Secondly, I'm in an environment that understands what I'm doing with Delenta. They're not a weight, but no, you got to fit my way or this, that, and the other. No, we're all on a growing pattern. We're all expanding. We all have that same mission in mind. And so that's what's very helpful to me, is to be in, when I relate to people, do they drain you or do they propel you? Find, whatever you do, be a leader that propels others and help them propel themselves and propel others. And when you do that, you'll never be out of work.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Like you say, that in terms of content and accessibility and collaboration, one would assume, hopefully, and you can add value to this, that by working with platforms like Delenta, it's enabled you to offer more through that collaboration.
May I give a couple of books that I think would be helpful to those who are getting into coaching?
Yeah, sure.
We're gonna do that, okay. First one I recommend is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. It is a great book to learn what you don't know. It has nothing to do with coaching. It's about you and what you do, but breaking the habit of being yourself. So Joe Dispenza, and you can find that on Amazon. I don't get a fee for it. The second one is Leadership Agility. It's kind of a hard book to read, but it's really great dynamite, because in that book, they learned a book of guys out of Harvard. They went out and they said, what are companies looking for in their executive leaders? And they found leadership agility was the number one competency. But what they found in that top 10%, they had 3 traits. They were catalysts, co-creators, and synergists. Those are the missing ingredients in the marketplace today if you're going into leadership coaching. So those are 2 excellent books, and there's a number of other books, but those are 2 for people who are looking at coaching, whatever kind of coaching you're going into. Those are 2 books that I think would be very helpful to you.
Fantastic. So I think we can perhaps sort of wrap this up, which has been fantastic meeting you. Yeah, real pleasure meeting you. It's been fascinating to get an insight into your business, and get an insight into perhaps how Delenta's helped you. Do you want to add anything before we leave?
Thank you for being you. Thank you for being there to partner with me. And thank you for the opportunity to share part of my story today with those who may be looking at it in the future for you or for coaching, because I can't think of a better place to start. Go to the best first and quit messing around. Go to Delenta.
Brilliant. Really appreciate your comments. And clearly, as a business, we wish you all the success in your business.
Thank you. Thank you to you and the team. And I'm glad to have you on board for Delenta.
Thanks.